Hey YouTube, Kira Twig here, bringing you all an update to my Nekroz Yugioh deck profile for post the October 2019 ban list. Wanted to do an update to the deck, really excited to do this deck profile, but wanted to do a Nekroz update since the release of Dual Power with all the reprints that we got for the Nekroz cards, making it a lot easier to put this deck together. It's a really fun deck. The whole focus of it is to use the ritual monsters that have different effects against your opponent and really shut down their extra deck summons. And the fact that we have Shirt completely off the list at 3 now definitely does help with just the overall power that the deck can do with all its different types of summoning. So let's go ahead and get started with the deck profile. So to start off, for the monsters, I run 3 Nekroz of Bryonic. You can ritual summon this card with any Nekroz ritual spell, and it must be ritual summoned without using Nekroz of Bryonic. And you can only use this effect of Nekroz of Bryonic once per turn. You can discard this card to add 1 Nekroz monster from your deck to your hand, except for Nekroz of Bryonic. And you can target up to 2 face-up monsters on the field that were special summoned from the extra deck and shuffle them into the deck. So you can either discard it for another search of a Nekroz card, or shuffle 2 of your opponent's extra deck monsters back, which really does help to shut down them. It doesn't destroy them by card effects, it just shuffles them back into the extra deck. So 3 Bryonic gives you access to all the other different ritual monsters for Nekroz we run in the deck, but if you do summon it out to the field, you have the option to shuffle back the card. So very, very strong overall for sure with this in the deck. Same goes for 2 Nekroz of Trishula. With this one, you can ritual summon it with any Nekroz ritual spell. It must be ritual summoned without using any level 9 monsters and cannot be special summoned by other ways. You can only use each effect of Nekroz of Trishula once per turn. During either player's turn, when a card or effect is activated that targets a Nekroz monster, you can discard this card and negate the activation. And when this card is ritual summoned, you can banish exactly 3 of your opponent's cards, 1 from the hand, 1 from your opponent's graveyard, and 1 from the field. So very, very useful with these effects, just to really take down your opponent and all their resources. I would say it's one of the true powerhouses you want to get out onto the field, but also just having that option to protect your cards by negating your opponent's effects by discarding it just gives you that extra additional hand trap option in the deck as well. I only like to run the 2 though, since it is searchable in the deck. You don't really need any more than 3. It just kind of turns into a dead draw other than that. So 2, perfect number I would say for the card. Same goes for Nekroz of Valkyries. If I was going to bump this card up, excuse me, I would probably take out one of the additional resourced cards we run for the deck, which I'll show in just a bit. You can ritual summon this with any Nekroz ritual spell, just like all the Nekroz cards we run in the deck. When an opponent's monster declares an attack, you can banish 1 Nekroz card from your graveyard and discard this card, negate the attack, and then end the battle phase. And then also during your main phase, you can tribute any up to 2 monsters from your hand and or field, and if you do, draw the same number of cards you tributed. I mostly use Nekroz of Valkyries for the end the battle phase. It really does help just to take care of my opponent's cards, plus I can always recycle Valkyries back to reuse as well, which is very, very useful. But this option just gives me another turn to go up against my opponent with any cards that I want to get out, whether it is obviously Trishula or Bryonic, you name it. Valkyries just helps for that stall, but also if I need to, when I ritual summon out with that draw power, another useful one for sure. And then for some of the one-ofs, I run 1 Nekroz of Decisive Armor. I mostly just use this card for the power boosts. For the set card, it works for the banish if I need to take care of set cards. It's also a 3,300 attack point monster. But mostly during either player's turn, you can discard this card, then target 1 Nekroz monster you control. It gains 1,000 attack and defense until the end of this turn. Just a power card, like I said, very handy for sure. And also the same with 1 Nekroz of Clazolis, being able to take care of my opponent's extra monsters from the extra deck by basically targeting 1 face-up monster on the field that was special summoned from the extra deck until the end of its turn. The target's attack and defense becomes 0, and its effects are negated. So putting the attack down to 0 definitely does help for you to get over some problematic cards. But this one also, you can ritual summon this with any Nekroz ritual spell. Must be ritual summon, and you can also discard this card to add 1 Nekroz spell or trap from your deck to your hand. So I like the 1. It's searchable off of Bryonic, which is very useful because then you can just discard Bryonic, search Clauselus, and then use Clauselus to search any of the Nekroz ritual spells you're going for. And still at 1, so we only have the 1, but definitely a strong one for sure, is Nekroz of Unicorn. You can ritual summon, you can discard this card, then target 1 Nekroz card in your graveyard except Clausolus, add back to your hand. You can use this effect of Nekroz of Unicorn once per turn. You negate the effects of face-up monsters on the field that were special summoned from the extra deck. So it shuts down your opponent's whole extra deck play with this one. So as long as you have Unicorn on the field, which is what I try and go for with every play, you're pretty much set until your opponent obviously tries to attack over this card, because it still means they can attack with the extra deck cards, just negating their effects. But still, you have plenty of defensive cards like Nekroz of Valkyris to stop your opponent from getting to this card. And it's not like they can use extra deck monsters to take care of it either. So I like to run the one-ofs of each of this. Unicorn would definitely go up if we maybe one day get it off of the list at a higher number. But until then, we'll just have to make do with what we have. And then for the rest of the ritual support, I also like to run 2 Incantation Chalice Slime, just another powerful ritual with the addition, since we are running the incantations, to assist with our ritual plays. So 2 of this. If you wanted to bump up your number of Valkyris, you can take out 1 copy of Chalice Slime, put in a 3rd copy of that, or if you wanted a 2nd Klozolis, you could put in that. It's all up to the numbers. You can definitely just run the 1 Chalice Slime if you wish. I just have the 2 in here because I am comfortable with the 1-of slots for the rest of my Nekroz cards, just solely down to the fact if you do want a 3rd Valkyris in the deck or not. And newly off the list at 3, I run 3 Shirt Strategists of the Nekroz. If you ritual summon exactly 1 Nekroz ritual monster with a card or effect that requires use of monsters, this card can be used as the entire requirement. And this card is tributed by a card effect. You can add 1 Warrior Nekroz ritual monster from your deck to your hand. You can only use this effect of Shirt Strategist of Nekroz once per turn. So whether you tribute it with Valkyris or most of the time like you do it normally for the ritual play, you'll get that search off a Shirt. And being able to account for all of Brownic or all of Trishula, very, very useful. Glad to have this card back at 3. It definitely did help to assist the deck as well with the searches. And I also run 1 Dance Princess of Nekroz. Your opponent cannot activate cards or effects in response to the activation of Nekroz ritual spells. Nekroz ritual monsters you control cannot be targeted by an opponent's card effect. And if this card is tributed by a card effect, you can target 1 of your banished Nekroz monsters except Dance Princess of Nekroz add to your hand. You can only use this effect of Dance Princess of Nekroz once per turn. I mostly just use her for the protection option for the deck. The 1 card I don't have in the deck, but still would probably like to play, is Reinforcements of the Army. So if you didn't want to run Dance Princess, you can put in 1 Reinforcements of the Army. This is the first slot I would say to put it in. I just cannot find where I put any of my Reinforcements of the Army. I had them in a huge pile of all my different ones. I'm just looking to see where my Reinforcements of the Army are, because it's an easy search for either Shirt now at 3 or Nekroz of Klozolis. So if you want to add in the Reinforcements of the Army, you either take out the Dance Princess of Nekroz or the next card in the spell slot that I would recommend. But also for the rest of the monsters, I run 2 Incantation Talismandra, 2 Incantation Candle, and then 1 Incantation Bookstone and 1 Incantation Pencil Plume, all just having different search options for your different ritual cards, whether it be the spell, the monster from the deck for Candle and Talismandra, or from the graveyard with Pencil Plume and Bookstone. All very useful since they also can help just for the requirements for your ritual plays, depending on what you use. And that's also why I like to run Chalice Slime, because you just kind of have these options available to you as well. I'm comfortable with the 2 Talismandra, 2 Candle, and 1 of each of the other ones, just for consistency as well, working with the deck and the graveyard for all of them. And I also run 3 Manju, the 10,000 Hands, just another great card. You don't really normal summon at all in this deck, so having Manju be this spot for the normal summon gives you your search of the ritual monster spell when it's normal or flip summon. So I like to run at 3 just for those options. Plus, if you need an Exceed summon with Unicorn for like an Exceed play to go up against your opponent if you have like a pesky field spell or something like that, Manju and Unicorn definitely do make for a good rank 4 Exceed play. And that is it for the monsters. We'll now move on to the spells. I run 3 Nekroz Mirror. This card can be used to ritual summon any Nekroz ritual monster, tribute monsters from your hand or field, and or banish Nekroz monsters from your graveyard. Then ritual summon 1 Nekroz ritual from your hand whose level is exactly equal to the total levels of the monsters. You can use this effect of Nekroz Mirror once per turn. If you control no monsters, you can banish this card and 1 Nekroz monster from your graveyard to add 1 Nekroz spell from your deck to your hand. So as soon as you open up the Nekroz spell, as long as it ends up in the graveyard, you have options to search out more with your other Nekroz spell. So very, very useful. I still like the 3, so you at least open up since we do run a high monster count, and you do have other options in the deck to search out these spells also. Probably my favorite of the Nekroz spells is Nekroz Kaleidoscope. This one just for the fact this card can be used to ritual summon any number of Nekroz ritual monsters, tribute one monster from your hand field, or send one monster from your extract to the graveyard. Also after that, ritual summon any number of Nekroz monsters whose total levels exactly equal the level of the monster. You can only use this effect of Nekroz Kaleidoscope once per turn, and if you control no monsters, you can banish this card and one Nekroz from your graveyard to add one Nekroz spell from your deck to your hand. So, best play obviously is to go for the Herald of the Arclight, since you can send it for Unicorn and then get the additional search of Arclight. I also run some other synchro monsters in the extra deck. Could be anything as long as you equal out to the levels for the exact number of Nekroz monsters you want to summon out. And I also run 2 Nekroz Cycle, just being another good card that can rely on ritual summoning from your graveyard. If you use up the monsters, this one definitely does help for those play. Just the 2 of, though, I'd say it's not as consistent as Kaleidoscope or Mirror, but still definitely needed in the deck. And then just for the ritual spell, the 1 Incantation Inception, it can be recycled back with Preparation of Rites, but it's for your Chalice Slime play. Just you have that search option available to you along with the Nekroz cards. And also the 3 Preparation of Rites, you search, add 1 level 7 or low ritual monster from your deck to your hand, which can be a good amount of the Nekroz cards, and then you can add 1 ritual spell from your graveyard to your hand. So you can recycle whatever you need. You can even search Chalice Slime off of this, and if Inception's in your graveyard, add that back to your hand as well. And also, to finish off these spells, I run the 3 Called by the Grave. This is just the final spot for the main deck. Also, just being able to take care of your opponent's hand traps. It can definitely shut down the deck when you're trying to go for your play. If you didn't want to run 3, you can take out the 1. This will be the second spot to put in Reinforcements of the Army if you wanted to keep in your Dance Princess of Nekroz for that spot, but wanted to reduce your spells. Taking out one of these for Reinforcements of the Army would be your next best bet if you didn't want to remove Dance Princess. And that is it for the main deck. When I move on to the extra deck, I run 2 Herald of the Arclight. This is just really needed for your Kaleidoscope play to get Unicorn out, giving you an additional search when it's sent to the graveyard as well. So I run the 2 of this card for that spot. For the other synchro spots, I run 1 Trishula, Dragon of the Ice Barrier, 1 Star Eater, and 1 Shooting Quasar, just level 9, 11, and 12. So you have the options for your different plays in the deck. So you can go for a 6 and a 3 with Clazolis and Bryonic. For the 11, you have just the options for Clazolis, Valkyris. And then for the 12, you can go for 2 Bryonic or Unicorn and Valkyris. You have all the options covered with all the different synchros we run in the deck. And then for the Link monsters, I run 2 Miss Starboy, just having a good option to power up your water monsters, which are all the Nekroz in the deck. Very useful when you can just make this card on the field. Then for more of the generic links, 1 Nightmare Phoenix, 1 Nightmare Cerberus, 1 Nightmare Unicorn, and the 1 Decode Talker. I didn't make Link 4 as much as I liked in this deck, which is why I didn't put in a Boro load. If you want to take out Decode for a Boro load, you can try that instead. And then for the Exceed plays, definitely useful when I can make them 1 Tornado Dragon, 1 Daigusto Emerald, 1 number 39 Utopia, and 1 Utopia the Lightning. This play definitely does help when I'm trying to go up and finish my opponent off. But that is it for the deck profile. I hope you all enjoyed the video. Until next time, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, and Kira Twig out.